Hello DevOps friends, welcome to Monospace Mentor. That's me, I'm Jochen the Monospace Mentor. This is my DevOps office hour where I can simply sit back and wait for your questions to arrive, because the whole purpose of this live stream is to answer your questions about DevOps, system administrations, programming languages, IT career. Everything around that space is fair game, and I hope you have lots of questions to keep me occupied. Otherwise, I'll just sit here and sip my water and that's it. But the way you can submit your questions is to go to mspc.sh/officehour, which gets you to my Q&A board, and there I can collect your questions. I can get them on screen, so everyone who's maybe just joining the stream knows what I'm talking about, and you can even upvote other people's questions if you like them. So do me a favor, go to mspc.sh/officehour and post your questions there. I'll get them and answer them. So, what's new? I haven't done a live stream this week. I did intend to, but you know how it is with intentions, especially the good ones. I did not find the energy to do a live stream, but office hour is something that I enjoy so much, and that doesn't take much out of me. So that's why I'm back here on Twitch, on YouTube, and on my own cast channel, live.monospacementor.com, where you can watch this stream and chat without any ads, without any privacy intrusions. So it's definitely a great alternative. Owncast is an amazing open source software that allows me to run my own live coding stream, and it's definitely something that I can highly recommend. Other than that, this week I'm exploring Neri, the scrolling window manager. At the moment, I'm running Neri on my workstation from which I'm streaming here, and it's pretty great. I'm having a lot of fun. It's just like Sway, but the horizontal space is basically unlimited. So Neri puts one window next to each other, and you can still stack windows if you like, but yeah, you're not constrained to the physical screen real estate, which I find quite nice. And I hope I'll be able to install that on my mobile machines, my laptop and my tablet as well. Even though it seems there is no Ubuntu package or Debian package for Neri, which is strange. I just searched for it an hour ago or so, and I didn't find it immediately. So I might be mistaken, but it's strange. There are packages for Fedora, which are great because, yeah, I'm running Fedora on all my workstations. I run it on my laptop, so Neri should work there as well. However, my Linux tablet, a Starlab Linux tablet, runs Ubuntu, and I wasn't courageous enough to change the system that it came with. Maybe I'll simply switch to Fedora Silverblue or Bluefin on my tablet as well. Yeah, I should eventually give it a try. And that way I'll be able to install Neri there easily too, if I don't find any Debian packages that I can install on the Ubuntu that's on it at the moment. So yeah, so if you are looking for a lightweight but easily manageable window manager, give Neri a try. I find it really, really fun, and it is really, really useful for me as well. Ultimate Curran waves from my Owncast channel. Hello, how you doing? So yeah, that's one thing, and another thing is I'm working on my new courses website, which you'll find at courses.monospacementor.com. And I did some work on the internals yesterday. I read about Typest, which is a new typesetting software that is basically walking in the footsteps of LaTeX. No, LaTeX still exists, but Typest wants to be an alternative that's easier to use. And I read a blog post on their blog how Netways, a German open source consultancy, uses Typest to write their course materials. And they actually used the code components that are built into Typest to integrate their slide information with their handout information. So everything is just a single document, and they can then run Typest in one mode to get the printable handouts, and then they'll simply run Typest in the slide mode, and then they'll get the slide decks out of that from the same documents, which is pretty amazing and inspired me to do the same. My website, courses.monospacementor.com, is built with Jekyll, the Ruby-based static site generator, and I wrote my own Jekyll plugin yesterday that allows me to do the same. Now I can write markdown files for my course material, and they go online on courses.monospacementor.com as usual. However, I can intersperse slide blocks in the same markdown source documents, and Jekyll goes and automatically pulls them out into their own pages with Reveal.js as the framework. So Jekyll automatically creates my slide decks for me, and I can actually put my slide information into the same files that generate the web pages, which makes it so much easier, not only to see where I could add another slide, but also, for example, if I restructure the outline of a page and move a section further up or down, then the slide block will move with that automatically, and so my slide decks will still be in a sensible order and not start confusing me and the participants of my courses. So this is great fun, and if you look through courses.monospacementor.com, you will find one or two slides links at the bottom of the page that already link to some experimental slide decks. They aren't filled yet, but it works automatically. Whenever I add a slide to my documents, a slide deck page will get created automatically and will be published on GitLab pages where courses.monospacementor.com is running. So that's absolutely amazing. It took me a few hours yesterday to build this, and I'm very happy and a little bit proud of myself. Crypto Monitor asks, hello, have you heard of OSCP certification? They have a requirement for working in a cybersecurity role. I'm a software engineer. Is there a way around this requirement? I don't know. No, I'm not familiar with OSCP certifications in depth, so I have no idea. But Prax is our resident cybersecurity expert, so I'll have them jump in for me. Again, this is my office hour. Keep asking questions. That's exactly why I'm online. Now, post your questions to mspc.sh/office hour, and I'll do my best to answer them. Unfortunately, I can't answer every question because, I have my limitations as well, but I do have a little bit of experience. I've been programming since 1984, and I've been running Linux on my own machine since 1993, so there is a little bit of experience from which I can draw to answer your questions if they are around the DevOps space. Q Macro over on my Oncast channel says, I'm a huge fan of Markdown as the one true source for content, and also use the slides CLI to present them, but they're also readable as the HTML rendered form of the Markdown too. That's great. Yeah, exactly. That's why I am such a great fan of Jekyll, because not only does it allow me to write my stuff in Markdown, I can also add new plugins that do things like the slide generation that I explained earlier. Praxeus mentioned our Discord channel, so let me invite everyone on there. Balthazar, Operations Orc, joining us. Welcome, welcome. Praxeus and Balthazar are both members of the server room, which is my community of practice, especially for people who want to grow in DevOps, in SRE. Maybe you want to get a new role inside your organization. Maybe you want to change jobs. And there are definitely a few bars to clear there. And the server room is designed to help people reach these goals. It's a friendly community of DevOps and SRE practitioners, and in the server room we don't just have a friendly forum where you can ask questions or write about your recent experience in the open source community, in the DevOps community, but also we run different community events, up to things like participation in in-person courses, for which I've primarily built courses.monospacementor.com, of course. And we are also going to build our own Proxmox instance, which the community members at the gold level will be able to use. And if you're interested in how this is going to work, then check out this page on my website. It'll tell you all about my current plans. I will offer a micro internship to a bunch of people who will then, under my guidance, build our Proxmox instance here with the infrastructure that I'm going to provide. and I'll help you set up the PubMox, the public proxmox system for our community. And if you want, you can even join the PubMox admin team, who then take care of the ongoing maintenance of the system, which is all great practical experience that you will be able to reference when you will be talking about getting a new role in DevOps, getting a new job. This internship is especially geared and designed towards people who are not yet that deep into home labbing, into DevOps itself, and it'll give you a lot of practical experience in this space, not only on the technical side, but also on the communication side, because of course it's going to be a team effort, and you'll have to communicate, you have to document, and I, as a veteran in this space, will guide you and help you get along. Nitunjay over on YouTube asks, right now I'm working as a help desk engineer, can I start DevOps? Of course you can. I will build a DevOps roadmap document that you will be able to download from my website that tells you a little bit more about the different topics and things that you should get yourself familiar with. It's going to be work. It's nothing that you can do within a few weeks, but you can definitely start into this space by getting some skills and experience in system administration and in software engineering as well, because especially when we're talking about site reliability engineering, SRE, then you need both of these things. You need to be able basically to apply software engineering principles to operations work, and that's what DevOps and SRE are all about. And I'll try and help you down this road. Hey Sanchizo, how you doing? Nitunjay asks, how should I start learning DevOps? Well, DevOps is not a topic that you can simply start, or where you can simply take a book about DevOps, read that, and then you know what it's all about. DevOps is more of a principle that tries to bridge the gap between software engineering and operations. The way I describe it is that it's basically about mitigating the different incentives that those two pillars of IT, software engineering and operations, have. So let me illustrate that for you. So if we talk about DevOps, it means we have dev on one side and ops on the other side. The problem we had in the past is that these two groups are very much not aligned, because developers are paid for innovation, for frequent change, for adding features here and there, and operations is tasked with keeping stuff running, which means ideally no change once things are working. And so the incentives in these two groups are very different. And so historically, there was always some kind of a wall between those. Q Marker says, breaking down the wall over which software is otherwise thrown. Exactly. We call this wall the wall of confusion, because one side doesn't know what the other does, doesn't understand what the other wants, and so when software is packaged, it simply gets thrown over the wall of confusion, and then it's someone else's problem, namely it's the operations people's problem, how to get this thing into production and how to keep it online. And of course, you can work that way, but There's one thing that we keep forgetting, and that is above it all is the business, the thing that pays the salaries of both developers and operations people. And this business has goals, and those goals are actually the reason why software gets developed, because the software is supposed to achieve the business goals, and that's why it needs to get developed and then put into production. And that means we definitely need to tear down this wall of confusion, and we need to find a way to make things work. Oh, wait. I'm scribbling and it doesn't appear on screen, does it? Interesting. Let me see if this changes things. That might be actually due to how nearly my window manager works. Let me see. Yeah, okay. It only updates if the window is actually visible on screen. Okay. Lesson learned. So, here you can see my nice picture. Tearing down the wall of confusion means we need to get dev working towards ops, and this needs to be one single value creation stream, basically. And of course, there needs to be feedback from ops back to dev to keep improving stuff. And that's what DevOps is about. So what gets used here is tools, DevOps tools. That's something that you can learn. Plus processes. Because that arrow up here between dev and ops, of course, implies that there are processes in place, how software gets from dev to ops, how feedback gets back to dev, and how this then leads to what's usually called continuous improvement. And so if you are interested in getting into the DevOps space, you need to get familiar with these tools and the processes that these tools then support. Tools like continuous integration, continuous deployment tools, but also tools that facilitate the feedback and the communication between the different people. For example, the use of ticket systems, the use of chat systems, maybe. All these things that facilitate an efficient flow of artifacts between dev and ops, basically. I hope that clarified things a little bit when we are talking what we're talking about when we're talking about DevOps. So if you want to get into this space, you need to familiarize yourself with the challenges that software engineering has, with the challenges that operations has. And the best way to do that is to expose yourself to these things. Do some software development. Do run your own stuff on a Linux server, for example. That will give you experience. That will give you a feeling for what's needed. And of course, since you are both the developer and the operations person for your own projects, you'll also learn how to get from one role to the other. Praxis says, tools like terminals, bash and vi. No, not really. Those are more tools that are definitely used by both software developers as well as operations people. But the DevOps tools are more the tools that build bridges between those different roles. QMacro says, the Mini VT100 behind you, would love you to tell us more about it. Yeah, So the thing is, I was always fascinated by the VT100 terminal. It looks so iconic. And of course, some of the early 80s movies that got me fascinated with the whole IT space, I guess mainly war games, also showcased VT100 terminals. And I always wanted to get my hands on one. But those terminals are much more common over in the US than here in the EU, so they are hard to come by. And by now, of course, they are so old that they become collector's items and therefore are basically not affordable when you try to get them. And then there's still the risk of actually snatching one on eBay and then the seller not packaging it correctly, and all you get in the mail is a bunch of plastic and glass pieces. And so that was one reason why I never got myself one. The other reason is this office is all I have to put my stuff into in terms of IT technology, and there's definitely no space for a full-blown VT100. And so I was really, really happy when I found someone on Mastodon who does miniatures of historic computing systems. His name is Trevor, and I can look up the website for you. I don't remember it from the top of my head, but Trevor Flowers, is that? I'm not sure, but yeah, I can look it up. And when Trevor said, yeah, I'm going to build a miniature VT100, I did actually jump in and literally said, shut up and take my money. It wasn't little money either. I could probably have bought a VT100 off eBay for that price, but that way it doesn't take as much space. It is less power intensive. It just runs a Raspberry Pi and has a little screen. You probably can't see that the screen is active at the moment because of the angle to the camera. But yeah, it's something that I jumped on and had to have one, and I got it, and it's amazing. Trevor actually even built his own keyboard PCB to make the teeny tiny little keyboard with its teeny tiny keys a working USB keyboard. This thing works. I probably need to use a toothpick, but I can type on this keyboard, and it's simply amazing, and I'm very happy that I have it. But yeah, it was hard to get. I had to import it from the US because Trevor lives in the US, and it was really, really expensive now looking back, but you know how it is. Chitra asked, do CNCF certifications really help to land a DevOps SRE job? That's a good question, actually. The thing is, certifications do help, but the amount they help depends on where you are in your career. The thing is, if we sketch your career on a timeline, and here we are in the beginner or junior space, and here we are in the senior and even higher roles. The effect that certifications have on hiring, from my point of view, of course, is more like this kind of bell curve here. And What I mean by that is that when you are at the beginning, certifications tell not much more than that you can learn stuff, memorize stuff, and fill out forms. And that's not very useful. At the beginning, you need to convince people with skills, with practical experience, with eagerness to learn, with understanding, and with communication skills. Certifications will not add significant weight to your application if you don't have these things. If all you have is a bunch of papers that basically prove that you can learn stuff and memorize it at least until the exam, and maybe beyond that, but who knows, then that's not really useful. At the more senior stages, where you definitely have these experience and skill sets, certifications can augment and can prove that you have a broad spectrum of knowledge, that you have basically internalized a lot of the knowledge that you need for your roles, and that then helps with underwriting the skills that you claim to have and that you probably have, otherwise you wouldn't be a senior engineer. And at a certain point, certifications will then have diminishing returns, because you are at a point where basically you don't have to prove yourself anymore. You should have, after you have a decade or so of experience under your belt, where you did practical stuff, where you did diverse topics and things like that, then you won't need any certificates to prove that anymore, because your work and your references will speak for themselves. So that's how I think about certifications. They do have their value, but the value for very junior people and for very senior people isn't great. It's more useful in the middle, where they help getting a healthy mix between practical experience and theoretical examinations, to put it this way. Q macro found, Trevor, that's based. Yeah, that's correct. Bethesda says, for those of you that want to crawl into retro terminal emulation before you walk into buying a VTM 100 emulator or run into buying an old terminal console, may I suggest you have a look at Cool Retro Term. Yeah, that's definitely a great application. It did scratch my itch for a retro terminal for a while, but in the end I had to have the real physical thing. And hey, I can run Cool Retro Term on this as well. Bethesda responded, I would start with asking yourself, why do you want to be certified? If you want to be certified because you want to have an accredited body say you know stuff about a thing, then there's value there. However, if you want to be certified because you want to learn the subject matter that the certification covers, then you should really ask yourself, how do I learn? And will the certification test preparation process teach me what I want to know? Yeah, that's definitely a great addition there as well. Chitra says, I have started building and maintaining home lab for proof of hands-on experience. Yep, that's brilliant. A home lab is definitely a great way to get practical experience. Not only do you learn to set up stuff there, you also learn to do outage mitigation, error troubleshooting, and all these things, which will teach you a lot. That being said, I just remembered that there was actually a question on our board. So let's get that on screen. In today's world, almost all knowledge workers and office workers should be computer literate, and they're not. This impacts efficiency, how technology is viewed, and more. Strategies, conversation, thoughts. That's an amazing topic. I should turn that into a forum topic on the server room, which, if you've just joined us, is my community of practice that you can use to boost your career in DevOps or into DevOps. Because this is a great topic and it definitely has many different angles. I agree. People aren't as computer literate as they should be, especially in the IT space, actually. Just looking at how magical Gen AI systems are viewed by many nowadays is kind of surprising to me. Because someone who's in tech should by now have a pretty clear picture of what these AI systems are, what they can do and what they cannot do. So we just had this topic in our Discord server where when Apple's new paper appeared, that pretty much shown a very sobering picture on the reasoning capacities of Gen AI systems. My reaction was basically, yeah, I'm more surprised that people are surprised that Gen AI systems cannot reason, because that shouldn't be a surprise. Gen AI systems are just huge models that are trained on a huge body of text that they can basically retrieve. Just if I was able to memorize all the books that I've ever read and would be able to then retrieve stuff right from memory, which is of course not how human memory works, but that's how these LLMs work. They just memorize all this stuff and draw their own relationships and things like that, and then they can try and retrieve something that goes along the lines of what they've digested. And that's all they can do. They don't understand or have a capacity to reason about these things. It's just something that has memorized a lot of stuff and can basically regurgitate what it did. And so that a lot of people in IT, in software engineering, in IT operations are surprised or even disappointed that these things can't think. That's really strange to me. That really shows a lack of, as you say, computer literacy. And I think the only way is to hold people to a higher standard and to have them research these things and to require them to get a solid foundation on these new technologies before they start getting into them. I mean, I think that's the only way to solve the problem of people not knowing stuff. Teach them, or at least get them to learn. This is more of a cultural topic than a technical, I guess. But that's definitely something that I would do in my own teams when I realize that people aren't as computer literate as they are expected to be, and I expect them to be. I would definitely try and assign some kind of homework to get a solid grounding in the respective technologies and areas. That's definitely a great question and a topic I will keep thinking about. Thanks for that. If you too have any questions around the IT space, DevOps, software engineering, system administration, career, all these things, hey, this is my office hour, and it's going to run for about 10 more minutes or something. So go to mspc.sh/office hour and post your question there. Johnny says, was applying for a fresher job role. JD was asking Docker, Kubernetes, AWS, all kinds of stuff, Prometheus, Grafana, Jenkins, Terraform, Linux admin, security. With all this, they also wanted full stack and also someone who doesn't believe in work-life balance. Yeah, that's very sad, but that seems to be far too common that these DevOps roles, maybe even titled DevOps engineers, basically say, yeah, we want you to do everything and around the clock and every day. And yeah, I mean, that's not realistic. And I hope those companies get what they have common. If you're wondering why isn't he talking, well, you are not asking. Here's a question. Question. What kind of project should I make in Python, scripting, and Golang? Too confused with what to add in resume. I've added a CI/CD pipeline and a Kubernetes cluster. Those aren't bad topics if you want to get into this and want to have something on your resume. But you might be approaching it from a challenging angle. The best way I was able to learn over the decades of my career was always to find something that I'm having fun with. Because that means that you are actually motivated to do something and you are actually motivated to keep at it and keep adding stuff, to keep extending it. And that's, for example, why I am still using Jekyll to build my static websites. Because by now I have about 15 years of experience in Ruby programming, so things are pretty easy, and I can do what I did yesterday and spend a few hours banging out a Jekyll plugin that allows me to write my course slide decks in the same Markdown document as my course materials. That makes things so much easier for me when I sit down to write course materials and write slide decks. And I mean, hey, I'm not going to lie. I'm pretty proud that I was able to build this Jekyll plugin, and now I can actually write my slides in the same files that I'm writing my course materials in. I can even show you how this looks like. Give me just a sec. If I can quickly... I haven't pulled it down to my stream machine here. So yeah, not going to bore you with setting this up now, because we're not going to run for that much longer. So yeah, So my answer would be find a project that you find fun. Don't try and just do something because it hits the right buzzwords. Don't just set up a Kubernetes cluster because Kubernetes is all the hype. Find a way to run a Kubernetes cluster that makes it fun for you. Maybe run a few home lab services on your own Kubernetes cluster. Maybe build a small Kubernetes cluster simply to run, say, a static website. I mean, Kubernetes is definitely overkill to run a static website, but on the other hand, it's really fun to maybe have 2 or 3 Kubernetes nodes to which you can then deploy the image for your static website, knowing this website is going to have almost 100% uptime because it runs on 3 different nodes behind the load balancer. So even if one of these nodes goes down, or even if 2 of these nodes go down, there's still going to be a third one. So your simple maybe not too relevant static website will have perfect uptime. That's something that's at least fun, and something that keeps you curious and keeps you thinking, okay, what else can I now run on this cluster? How else can I put this to use? And I think going at it with a more playful and curious attitude makes it much easier than, I need to get something with Python and Kubernetes because resume. So I would say find something that keeps you curious and keeps you interested. Okay, I need to find a way to keep stuff on screen. So it gets actually picked up by my screen sharing software. Graham asks, can you give any advice on strategies and learning resources to tackle budget allocation politics and the influence it can have on the engineering culture in an organization? Wow, that's probably something someone should write a paper about. That's quite the challenging topic, I would say. It's definitely more of an IT management topic. Budget allocation politics, and the influence it can have on the engineering culture in an organization. I know exactly what you're talking about, actually, because I did work as an IT manager at a few major IT service providers, and I definitely had to deal with budget allocation politics, and I experienced firsthand the influence it can have on the engineering culture. But that's quite the vast topic, and as you say yourself, it's an intersection of management tasks and its impact on the social structure. So it's the financial structure of an organization in combination with the social structure of that organization. I don't have anything that I can point you at. But I'm fascinated by the topic, definitely. Budget allocation politics. I mean, maybe there have been papers published around this topic. I never did some research on that. Maybe I should have. I mean, my general thoughts are, yeah, budget allocation, especially if it's politics, does have can have severe impact on engineering culture, because there's always these strange phenomenons where either budget reductions start depriving people of the stuff that they need, being it training or being it tools, being it software licenses, being it hardware, stuff like that. I do remember my teams struggling with getting their hands on the system resources we needed to fulfill the business requirements. Basically, the business always wanted us to do more with less, which of course is at a certain point simply impossible. That can have definite repercussions on engineering culture, on motivation, on the whole way the organization thinks and works. On the other hand, there's also the struggle to keep your budget at the same level as it was before. So you keep spending money simply to not have your budget cut, even though you might not even have solid reasons for that spending, other than, yeah, we need to use up our budget, otherwise it'll be lower next time. Which is also, of course, then leading to a culture of waste and maybe also an over-reliance on the available of these financial resources. It's a whole kettle of fish, definitely, but there is a lot of stuff that plays into this. Balthasar actually makes a great recommendation. The IT Managers subreddit is probably a great resource. Yeah, and so, definitely a place where I would ask that question. You'll probably also trigger a lot of people sharing their own war stories around that. But I guess that's one of the main reasons these forums exist. All right, shall we do one last round? Post your questions to mspc.sh/office hour, and I'll try to answer them. And once we're finished here, I need to think about where to go, because my daughter is having a birthday party later, and I'm not sure if I want to be in the house during that time. Balthasar's answer reminds me that I should use Reddit a little bit more often. I left Reddit during the controversy. Is it already 2 hours ago? 2 years ago. But since then, I actually created 2 Reddit accounts, one for Monospace Mentor and one for me personally. So I can actually follow different subreddits. So I should probably join the IT Managers subreddit as well as Monospace Mentor. Thanks, QMacro. Have a great Friday and a great weekend. Yeah, that is the question that I have to answer. Where to go when your daughter is having a birthday party in the house? Yeah, definitely. But I'm going to answer that after this stream, not on this stream. Thanks, Graham. Thanks for stopping by. Let's talk soon. And maybe if you want to continue this and maybe even want to have a personal chat between IT managers and share some PTSD stories, feel free to join our Discord and we can continue the conversation there. Okay, folks, it's been an hour, which means this concludes the office hour. I hope you had fun. I hope you got a few interesting answers and useful answers to your questions. And I'll try to be back with maybe some live coding streams next week and definitely an office hour stream if my time permits. Let's see if we can actually go and raid someone. Is there someone whom I can raid? Not too many people online at the moment, so we'll leave it as it is. Thanks for watching, guys and folks, and this has been fun. Join our Discord, follow this channel so you get a notification. Just like Graham just did. Follow the channel and consider joining the server room because it's definitely a great resource if you want to grow in or into the DevOps space. So this has been a lot of fun. Have a great rest of your Friday. Enjoy your weekend and I'll see you soon. Until then, take care.